You have some questions for Sam? Oh, hey! How are you?
Hi,
Hey, Sam.
I'm good.
Oh, you're using Perry's background.
Yeah,
Perry's good. Okay. How's
the
it going?
office.
Okay. Awesome. I think we can get started. Maybe I'll just briefly introduce everyone here, Sam, so you get a chance to know who's around first.
Okay.
So we have two batches of, so Rocket Academy, we started actually teaching the 6-month course in October. And so there was one batch of 5 students who are all here today who were in part of that first batch. And so they're halfway through now and they're starting their data structures and algorithms practice and doing more React work in the second half of the course now. And there are another 5 students who just started in like literally this week for batch 2. So they're just starting their 6-month journey, and I thought I'd invite them as well, even though they're not interviewing soon, but I thought I'd invite them as well to hear from you and just to like understand more about the industry as well while they're here. Yeah, so 5 people who are 3 months in and 5 people who are just starting. And of the guys who are 3 months in the first batch, I've asked a few of them where they want to work, and a couple of them have said GovTech. So I was like, okay, well, I know the perfect person. So yeah, just maybe I can introduce Sam real quick as well to everyone here. Sam was a student at Rocket Academy earlier this past year, back when we were just starting and everything was a mess. And interestingly, when Sam was part of our course, we actually had to stop halfway because of some government regulation stuff. But even then, Sam's still did really well and was able to secure a job at GovTech and is now a great software engineer as well. Prior to Rocket Academy, Sam was actually working at MOM, and she was a business analyst there. So she was not an engineer before. She was studying business, worked as a business analyst. Interestingly, the way she got into engineering was that she was working with an engineering team while at MOM, and then realized that she really loves building products and decided to start coding through that. And prior to that, Sam studied business at SMU and Poly before that.
Yep, that's me.
Cool.
Summarized in a few minutes.
Yeah. Okay, I think I'll hand it over to Sam. Maybe Sam, we can do a short intro and then we can open up to questions.
A short intro in addition to
yeah,
what
you can tell
already.
us. Yeah, give us the details.
Yeah, so I came from a non-tech background. Yeah, like I said, I studied business in uni, and then after that, I joined the public service in a kind of like an ops role. So even in that, I was doing communication, so nothing to do with tech. In my second rotation at the ministry, I moved to a program office, which maintains our Singapore's work pass system. Yeah, so it was there that I got exposed to Scrum and product development. And at that time, our developers were already from GovTech. And I think part of why I wanted to be more heavily involved in product development is that I found it a collaborative experience that I really enjoyed. Because in my previous roles, it was very like silo, right? You only do your own work, you write a lot of emails, you do submissions and stuff like that. So I like that product development is very dynamic, and like there's a lot of you really have to be quite adaptive lah. And I felt it was challenging enough for me. So 2 years into my role as a business analyst, I decided I wanted to try software engineering. And that's when I took no pay leave from MOM and I went to study. So I studied overseas for a few months, and that was in C. And then when I came back, I joined Kai at Rocket Academy for another 3 months. Yeah. And after that, we were just working on interview prep and working on portfolio. So across the whole experience, I think actually the most draining part was the interviewing process. because I didn't expect that it would be so intensive. You know, like in normal jobs, your interview is just like answer questions, right? You just talk. Or maybe you do a small case study, but like for technical interviewing, it's a lot more tedious. Like the assignments were 5 days long, and then I wasn't very well versed in like data structures and algorithms, so that was very challenging for me too. Yeah, that's about it. If you have questions, I'll try to answer them.
Makes sense.
Maybe I'll start things off. My name is Kenrick. I'm actually from batch 1. Can you just share more about your experience with like working in GovTech, like maybe your working hours and maybe like how is like the bureaucracy in GovTech?
So I've only been in GovTech about 6 months, and I actually don't think my experience in GovTech is comprehensive lah, because I think the divisions are very different and the teams are all very different. So the team that I'm in is actually my previous team. Like I took no pay leave from MOM, right? Then I quit MOM and I joined GovTech, but I joined the same team in the end. So the team in MOM is we try to be Scrum, like we try to do Scrum, but it's not that easy to do Scrum now, especially in the public service, I feel. But we can talk about that later. In terms of working hours, it's quite, I mean, I don't really work overtime a lot. It usually depends on who I pair with. So, because like we do pair programming here. And then, you know, some people are a lot more hardworking than other people. Yeah, so it depends on who I pair with lah. And it's not like the company says, oh, you must work from this hour, like you must do overtime, that we must rush out this feature. It's not like that. The culture is not like that here. Yeah. Did I answer your question?
You did. But maybe a follow-up question would be, so like you work like from 9 to 6, then and then normally no OT, but then if like production you're expected to OT, like it's normal kind of thing, right? Like you're pushing out a feature.
So the thing about Scrum, I think, is that it's meant to be sustainable. Like the work processes are meant to be sustainable. So in that environment, you're not actually supposed to work OT. And in fact, like you're supposed to have some breathing room. Because if not, people won't be able to, like people won't want to stay anyway, right? Yeah, but if there really are like production issues, then of course you have to OT lah. So it's a kind of give and take thing.
Okay, thank you.
Henrik also studied psychology at SMU.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh
he
yeah,
graduated like 2 years
I'm a psych major.
Oh,
my second
nice.
major is actually in comms. So yeah.
Oh my gosh, then we studied the same thing because my first major was comms and my second major was psych.
Yeah.
Nice. Means you can get a job at GovTech.
Actually, I feel like my ability to get the job at GovTech was based a lot on luck. In that I had worked with the team before, so they know what I'm like. If it was purely based on interview, right, I think I might not have gotten it. I don't know, because I did really badly in the coding challenge. Like the lead code style. Huh? I did damn badly in that one, but I think I did quite okay in the take-home assignment. Yeah.
Maybe you can also asking for those that are really interested in GovTech, maybe they haven't speak up yet. But maybe you could share more on like the process of like how, like maybe the interview and then what. I know normally there's like take-home assignment like you mentioned and interview process. Is there like a whiteboarding like the FANGs have, this kind of stuff? So maybe like the process of the interview itself. And maybe some questions that GovTech will ask.
Questions that GovTech will ask. I can't speak for the generic like GovTech hiring process because I know it's quite different across teams. But for me,
specific to MOM then.
yeah,
Like
for me, I think the emphasis was a lot more on the take-home assignment. I think they already expected that being a career switcher, my abilities in like solving lead code questions would be terrible. So I don't think they placed a lot of emphasis on that. So that was the interview was like, so before the interview I had to do the take-home assignment. They gave me 5 days to do that. And then after that, during the interview, we went through like normal like behavioral questions, to figure out what kind of person you are, like what kind of worker you are. And I think for the take-home, when we went through the take-home assignment, their goal was to just see what my thinking process was like. I think it actually didn't matter to them that I solved all the questions. How do I put it? I think the baseline is you must solve all the questions. And then above that is like, how did you solve the questions? Yeah, to rephrase. Yeah, so I think they might have looked out for whether I practice TDD when writing the API endpoint. And then how I plan my work. So for this assignment, I used Trello so that I had a Kanban board so that I could see like what work needs to be done, what I'm working on now, and what I can do in the future. Oh, did someone comment?
We'll follow up on that afterward. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, using Trello boards, this kind of project management is not something we've done yet, but we'll start doing from the next project onward.
Sorry, can I just ask what is TDD? Sorry, I don't know the term.
TDD is an engineering practice where you write your code driven by tests. So
it's test-driven development.
Yeah. So you kind of like write your test first. Okay. So
Okay, let's go with Jitcoin's question. Jitcoin is out right now, so he's not able to on his video right now, but he has a question. Could you share a bit about what you like and dislike about GovTech and your team? Oh, sensitive question.
Frankly, no dislikes. What I like about my team is that actually, I think what I like about my job is that I get to learn a lot. I think when I was looking for a job, right, it was important for me to find something that was challenging, but also, within my capability. Because I don't think I would. So one of the reasons why I went back to my old team is that I thought it would be good if I didn't have to struggle with learning the domain, like the business domain. So being able to already understand how the business works allowed me to focus on learning the tech stuff. Yeah, so that's something that I like about where I am. What other things do I like about it? I like that we work from home now. I like that it's pretty, like everything is pretty flexible. There aren't really any like hard and fast rules. A lot of it is based on the team decision. So if something is not working out, or if someone feels that something isn't working out, like the way that we're doing something isn't working out, then we kind of discuss it and agree on the action together. So I like that we have ownership over our processes, but that is something that's specific to Scrum. So I think it will be the same I hope it will be the same in most places practicing Scrum. Yeah.
Okay, just maybe one last question from me. I don't want to hog up, but then do you guys like use like Slack for communication, or is there like a platform you guys use? Is it the government in-built version?
So you're talking about communication
Yeah, yeah,
when we are working, is it?
yeah, like the platform.
Okay, so because we do pair programming, we need to communicate a lot. And in Scrum, there are a few different types of meetings. So for our daily stand-up, we do it on Discord. Actually, we do most things on Discord. I think moving to Discord is a good idea because you can jump in and out of rooms and you can see like right now who's pairing with who. It kind of simulates real life where you can visually see what's happening. Yeah, so we use Discord a lot. And for bigger meetings, we use Zoom. Yeah, we don't use Slack. We use Telegram. Yeah.
How does Discord compare to
Okay.
Slack?
Thank you.
I mean, Discord, I don't know, can you do audio? Can you be on audio the whole day on Slack?
Can, but it's not great. Yeah, it's like audio call. It's like a call, basically.
Oh, yeah. So in Discord, because we do pair programming, so we have to be on audio the whole time. Yeah.
Okay.
Which is something that I found very draining, and I needed to build stamina for that. Because like having to talk to someone the entire day, right, is very tiring.
Terrible.
It's not terrible, it's something you have to get used to. Yeah. But it's also fun because you're kind of like solving a puzzle together.
Hello, I'm Jeremy. I have a general question about getting interviews. So, I mean, being a government body, I would think that that GovTech kind of like emphasizes on paper qualifications as well. So I just wanted to know, like, from your experience and also like based on the people you've met there, how important are paper qualifications? So, I mean, for yourself, I mean, obviously you did manage to get a job there, but I was wondering, like, you know, could it also be because you had worked with the team before, and how would the experience differ for someone who like had no experience with anyone in there?
I think if you have paper qualifications, it would be a lot easier. But I wouldn't say that it's necessary lah. Ultimately, I think their emphasis was on whether you can write code, like write good software. So if you have a portfolio to demonstrate that, then that would be good lah. Yeah. But I do think that's why just now I said I think I was lucky in the sense that I had worked with these people before, so they knew who I was, yeah, and what kind of worker I would be. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi Sam, I'm Veena here. So I have just one question. So you mentioned about pair programming, right? So is it the way that we are doing in the Rocket Academy, or I mean, or you are splitting some portions of a logic to do in between? How it is being done there?
So I think we've changed things up a little bit. Yeah, I think when Sam and the other guys were with Rocket Academy, we weren't doing as much pair programming. There was one group project that they did, which involved some pair programming, but just to fill Sam in, right, the way we're doing things now at Rocket Academy is all the lectures and material is pre-recorded or pre-made. So students will review the material the night before, and then on the day itself, during the 2 hours of class time, there will be like a pair programming exercise. And so students will come together, they'll be put in breakout rooms in pairs, and then they will code something together.
Okay. I mean, I think that actually there are a lot of types of pair programming. Like, I know my colleague said there's ping pong, where someone writes the test, then the other person writes the code, and then they switch roles. So far, the people that I've paired with are not like super fixated on what kind of pair programming we do, but we definitely don't like build separate parts and then reconvene. Like, we do everything at the same time together. Yeah.
Thank you.
What have you found to be the pros and cons of doing what you just described versus doing separate parts and reconvening?
For starters, if I had to write a separate part by myself, I think like it would have been a lot tougher to manage the learning curve. In terms of integration of separate parts, even across pairs, like I can already see that when someone works, for example, like when someone works on the back end, then another pair works on the front end, like there's a lot of communication required. So I can't imagine like doing pair programming where, I mean, I guess if you did want to do separate parts yourself and then merge them together, you would just need to communicate a lot. Yeah. And the thing I like about pair programming is that I get to learn, I get an insight into what the other person is thinking and how he's approaching the problem. And that helps me learn a lot also. So if we did separate parts and then reconvene, I probably would miss out on that. Yeah.
Nice.
Hi Sam, I'm Elvin from Batch 1.
Yeah.
Since you mentioned that your team kind of works on both front end and back end, so I was curious whether your job scope involves you working on both front end and back end as well.
Yeah, we do. We are expected to do both.
Is that like the norm in GovTech? Not sure whether this would be a fair question for you. Yeah, but I'm wondering if you people who are in GovTech as well. Yeah.
I can only say that all the people I know all the devs in GovTech that I know do both, but I can't say for sure that like all of GovTech expects developers to do both, because I'm sure that there are roles for like specific development. I'm not very sure about it, but in my team, everyone's expected to be able to do both.
Yeah.
Why do you ask, Alvin?
Just curious. So maybe. Yeah, I think I would like to do both as well because can learn more things, right? Yeah. Sorry, another question. You kind of mentioned that your team is makes decisions together. So I was wondering whether is it more like a flat hierarchy throughout GovTech? Yeah. Like, do you see that happening for other teams as well? I assume most teams in GovTech uses the Scrum methodology.
I am actually not sure that most teams use Scrum. The ones that I know of do use Scrum, and like the ones that I know of are generally flat in terms of hierarchy. Yeah, but I can't really say whether like all the teams use Scrum. Sorry.
Oh yeah, it's okay. I don't think you know too, because GovTech is so huge also.
Yeah.
Can you describe your Scrum process a bit more? For example, in Rock Academy, we try and do Scrums, like stand-ups in the morning when we're working on projects, and at the end of the week we'll have a retro. I know that every team does Scrum slightly differently. Curious to hear what Scrum is like on your team.
So in my team, our sprints are 2 weeks long. And just as in typical Scrum, there are three main roles. So the first is the product owner, and then we have developers, and we have a Scrum Master. The only thing that's a bit different about my team is that under the product owner, there are also business analysts, and that's where I was before. So our sprints are 2 weeks long, and every sprint we do sprint planning, sprint grooming, and sprint retrospective. And every day we have daily stand-ups. Yeah, and each meeting serves different purposes. Should I go through those two?
I think it's okay. Does anyone Does anyone have, what is sprint grooming?
So sprint grooming is a meeting where we get to clarify requirements or clarify the customer, like the whole journey for this feature. Yeah, so in sprint grooming, we sit down with the product owner and the business analyst. Then we get an overview of what they want, and then we break up into groups and we take a story each. And then we think about how we would, implement this. Because sometimes like when you hear the requirements, it seems a little bit too simplistic. So it's only when you start to think about how you would implement it that you would like realize, oh, maybe we need to clarify this assumption. Yeah, so that's what sprint grooming is for.
Hi Samantha, Zeph here. I'm not sure whether you're allowed to share, but could you give like a real life example of you working with the product owner and maybe just give an example of what actually happened and stuff like that?
So is your question about what the interaction is like?
Yeah, exactly. Like what actually goes on, yeah.
Okay, so basically business requirements come from the product owner and the business analyst, right? And our job is to make that happen. So each time we typically know like what will go into the sprint, the 2-week sprint. So each time we pick up a card from that sprint, then we would do a kickoff with the product owner or the business analyst that wrote that story. So kickoff is just to get on the same page. Get on the same page so that we don't have any misunderstandings, because it wouldn't be good for either of us to, like realize that we didn't understand each other only after development. I will feel super sian, and I'm sure like the product owner will feel very sian also, because like time has been wasted, right? So that's what kickoff is for. Then in between, like throughout the development, if you have questions, we can ask the product owner also. And at the end, we do a dash check where we kind of like demonstrate what we've developed. And then we run through the test scenarios that the product owner or BA has in mind. So this is more like to check that what we developed is correct. Yeah. And to check that we have the same definition of done. Because a pair can't finish a whole feature by themselves in one span, right? Like different pairs have to work on the same feature. So because the parts need to meld together, we need to get the same understanding of where this story ends and where the next one starts. Yeah, so that's what we do in Dash Chat. And yeah, so that's our interaction. Yeah.
Thank you.
How about someone who hasn't asked a question yet?
I actually still have more questions, but it's okay. I'll let those two.
Let's see if someone else asks. Yeah, Porter, Kara, Jerome, Ian.
Yeah, maybe how was your practice? Leading up to your interviews, like how much time? Was it like full day, just data structures and algorithms? How do you pace it?
Okay. I will tell you what I did, and then I will tell you what I wish I did differently. So what I did was when we stopped Rocket Academy, I started building my own project, and that took like at least a month over. And in that project, when I was doing that project, I was doing it like every day I remember it was like from 10 a.m. I wake up, then I do until like past midnight, that kind. Yeah. And it didn't help that it was circuit breaker period. So like it's not as if, I had plans like that I was tempted to go out. So I was just at home every day. And that was like very, very bad for me, because I think I burnt out. I burnt out after that because immediately after I finished my project, I was starting to interview already. And then because I was starting an interview, I had to work on like interview assignments with time frames. So that was also like back-to-back long days. Yeah, so, and because I was so focused on building my portfolio, right, I didn't really focus on the lead code stuff. And then I think, so this whole thing, this was happening. And then I was also feeling very pressured about getting employed. Because by then I had stopped working for like a year. And I didn't really want to continue like that for much longer lah. Yeah. So because I was stressed about getting a job, then I was like I applied to a few places. It's not like I sent applications everywhere. Like I think it was already moderated, but it was still too many in my opinion. So what I would have done differently is give myself more time and focus more, like after building my portfolio, also focus on like practicing lead code questions. Because not practicing lead code questions gave me a lot of, resulted in me being very stressed when I did badly in coding challenges. And that's like not what you need when you are already stressed. Yeah.
Thanks so much, Samantha.
Yeah.
Do you have any recommended strategies for practicing such lead code or working on portfolio projects or even doing the take-home assignments?
I think in terms of building a portfolio, I will do something that I am personally interested in. Because you would just be a lot more motivated to work. In terms of practicing lead code questions, I think I would just set aside like a few weeks to do it. Not like a few hours every day. But I don't know whether this approach will work for everybody. Yeah. Take home assignments, I realize you can say, sorry, I'm a bit busy right now. Can I do this X number of weeks later?
Weeks? Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
Nice.
If they say no, then too bad, right? Because you're really too busy. Yeah. Or maybe you like space out your applications. It's very hard to do that though, because when a chance comes, it just comes. It's not like you can say, let me apply to you again later. Yeah.
Cool. How about Porter or Kara?
Yeah, I think I came a bit late, so I don't know if somebody asked a question.
Okay.
And I don't want to go back, but I actually just really wanted to ask her because I saw that she went from business analyst to this software engineering role. Then I wondered what sparked that. Yeah, what made you want to do something so technical, really? Did you somebody ask that yet? Because
No, not yet.
No.
I think it's a mix. Okay, because I studied psychology, right? I think it was part of me wanting to build an identity for myself. I wanted to be more than a generalist. Yeah, I just wanted to be more, do something more specialized. And I had applied to other careers before, like more specialized careers, but that didn't work out. So this was part of an exploratory thing that I was trying, just trying new things. And then slowly realizing that software engineering is quite fun, like product development is quite fun. And then slowly moving into that field. Yeah.
Okay. Then my next question would be actually how did Rocket Academy help you to?
Oh no.
Yeah, I was like thinking, should I ask? I was like, wow, putting everybody on the spot here, man. We're all learning here, so I was just wondering.
So I think that For sure, like if you've read the internet, like if you've gone and like searched on like career switching, you would know that people have done it on their own. But I think joining Rocket Academy or joining any bootcamp would be good because they kind of show you what to learn. If you're on your own, you don't really know what to learn. And then you don't know what to learn and you don't know how deep you need to go into each topic. So the chances are that you will get lost. You'll feel very lost, like you don't know what is the correct thing to be focusing on next. Yeah, so I guess the curriculum really helps. The next thing that really helps is having someone debug with you. Because when you're new, right, you don't even know where to start to debug. And I struggled with that a lot, even when I was at Rocket Academy with Kai. So because he was he really very helpful. Like he will stay up late with me to debug and stuff. And I really appreciate that. So I felt that really helped me a lot. So, because sometimes maybe if you debug, right, then you find a solution, you might still not understand why this is really happening. Like, oh, why is my code like doing this? You might not truly understand it until maybe someone like more experienced can explain it to you. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Actually, I do have a question that's somewhat related to Porter's question. And it's not a attack on Rocket Academy. I just want to ask like how
Mine wasn't an attack, man.
okay, in defense of Rocket Academy, I just wanted to ask like how prepared do you feel like after like upon graduating from Rocket Academy? And this question comes from a place where like I'm just starting on the I'm from batch 2, so I'm just starting, like today is day 2 of our C1 course. Do you feel like was it a reality where you came out and you're like, oh, wow, there's even more things to learn, and you realize that the Dunning-Kruger effect is very real. Like the more you know, the more you realize that there are like 10 other frameworks I need to learn upon entering GovTech or something like that.
So upon graduating from Rocket Academy, actually I didn't graduate.
Yeah, we just stopped halfway.
It just kind of like stopped.
Yeah.
But after being at Rocket Academy for 3 months, I felt quite confident because I could build something quite independently. But then when I started work, that went away because I was like starting a new framework, and then it was way, way, way more complex than anything that I did like in my portfolio. So I think it will go up and down. Yeah, I hope I answer your question. But I think it will always be like that. Like every time you encounter something new, the learning curve will be steep.
And
I would say if you stop feeling that way, then you should change jobs. That's my perspective. Yeah. Because basically this job is like you're getting paid to learn, and so if you're not learning, then that's not great. Yeah. But related to that question, was there anything that you, after starting your job, you realized you wish you had learned more of that at Rocket Academy?
The only thing I wish I had learned, right, is the Ruby on Rails framework.
No. Okay.
Because it's quite different, and like Ruby on Rails framework, like there's so much magic. And I'm used to, because of all the magic, I don't like truly understand what's happening. And it takes a lot of reading to understand. So that's my only wish. But I mean, you can't, that's not realistic because every company will use a different framework, right? Or they'll have a different tech stack. Yeah, but realistically, I wish I had more experience in that framework.
Anything in particular? So you mentioned there's some magic. Is there like any particular part of Ruby that you felt like you were not prepared for?
It's not that I wasn't prepared for it. It's just that it took a lot of effort to learn a new framework. After, doing Node.js for, 3 months. Yeah, after finally being kind of familiar with a framework, then having to change to a new one when you are already not very experienced, it was difficult for me. But I think pair programming helped me a lot. Yeah.
Nice. Kenrick, you mentioned you had another question?
I just wanted to ask, during like maybe your coding challenge, did they ask anything about design patterns? Like, is that a huge thing for GovTech?
I don't think that any company will ask you design patterns unless you're applying for like tech lead role. Yeah, I don't think they expect that much of you. But
What are design patterns
I may be
for
wrong.
people who may not know? Yeah. Sam? Yeah.
So Kenrick, are you talking about like architecture design, like the system design?
I was talking about like maybe structural patterns and creational patterns, like for example, like the factory method. I was reading up the factory method, or abstract factory method, this kind of stuff.
No, not really, because during this kind of coding challenge, the problems are very lead code style. It's like, can you solve this puzzle?
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you.
Any last questions for Sam before we wrap up?
Yeah, one question. So Sam, is your role some more like an entry level kind of role? And if it is, I'm wondering how we can find entry level positions other than the TAP program and at careers at Gov. Like, are there other platforms to look for this kind of entry level positions in GovTech?
I have no idea. Sorry. Yeah, but my role is an entry level position. Yeah, it's like the starting point, risk. Like start from scratch kind. Like your career really starts from scratch.
Ojikon had a question. If you have time, could you share if you have plans to further your software engineering education outside?
So I am considering it. Previously, it was to like legitimize my education in software engineering. I did consider doing a master's, but I don't know if I can take another 2 years like off work because, you know, responsibilities. Yeah, so we'll see how it goes. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. But I did consider that. Yeah.
By the way, there's a 1 year master's if you're interested. Oh. Yeah, and by ISS. Yeah.
Okay, we'll think about it.
Sam, would you have any general advice for everyone? If you could leave everyone with a few tips of advice, what would they be?
Maybe not advice, but some learning points from my own journey. I remember feeling very uncertain when I was trying to switch careers because you don't know what's going to happen, right? You don't know whether this will end up being fruitful. I would say you can just take it in small steps. And if it's important to you, you can try and build safety nets, like I did when I asked to take no pay leave. So that was something that gave me assurance that if this fails, it's not so bad. Yeah. So I would say take it in small steps. And you don't have to like decide that you have to like decide your specialization immediately. I know that a lot of people think about that. Like, oh, what kind of developer do I want to be? I think just being at Rocket Academy will give you a pretty good introduction to front and back end development. That's good enough for now. If you want to go into other fields, you can do that later. Like, it's not as if, you know, you can't switch in the future. So I will just take it in small steps and try to do my best, like at this point in time, like try to focus, but also don't overload yourself until you burn out, because if you burn out, then you don't have the energy to continue, and then that's kind of self-defeating also. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Sam, for being with us today. That was really awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Woo! Thanks, Sam.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
So expect some resumes coming your way in a few months.
You heard, right, when I said I'm like at the bottom of the ladder.
We'll take what we can get. Okay. Okay. Thanks, Sam.
Okay, let me know if you have questions.
Okay. Have a
Bye-bye.
good evening.
See you.
Bye.